Hello and welcome to the Practical Engineering Solutions channel. Today we're going to have a short video on sidewalks, N-scale sidewalks to be specific. I've seen a lot of videos on how to make sidewalks in N-scale and HO scale, and they all seem to use either wood or masonite or plaster and various wet materials to make a scale sidewalk. I wanted to try something else. I found a plastic sidewalk made out of styrene. It's made by Evergreen Plastics, and they have several different sizes. They have sizes with 1/4-inch grids on them, 1/2-inch grids, 3/8-inch grids, and I think even 3/4-inch grids. So the reason I like this is there's no scoring of the expansion joints in the sidewalk. It seems easy to work with, and it seems applicable to N-scale and the buildings I'm trying to put on it. So let's take a look at how I did this N-scale sidewalk. So this is the town I'm trying to model on my layout, and some of these buildings I got from Woodland Scenics already pre-assembled, and others I got in kit form and I built them myself, such as this one here and this one, and I think that one. So first step is to make a cutout for the buildings, and that looks like this. The actual styrene comes in this form, sheets that look like this. It's white. So I painted this, and we're going to get into how I did that. But when you start off with this, you cut out the building outlines here so that the buildings will sit on top of the sidewalk. And I have about 1, 2, 3, 3.5 squares exposed of sidewalk. So that's each 1/4-inch square is about 3.5 feet, more or less. So I have about 6 to 7 feet of sidewalk showing here, maybe a little bit more. And what I did was I made a cut so that the building would sit on top of it, as you can see here. And I used scissors, and in some cases where scissors weren't practical, like over here, I made, if you can see that, I used a number 11 X-Acto blade. And then I punched holes in here for the wires, for the lighting. And I made the holes big enough so that a JST plug would fit through there. So if I wanted to remove the building and work on it, I could just unplug it from the layout. And by the way, I didn't use conventional drills. They used a step drill. It looks like a triangular drill. It cuts slowly. It doesn't tear the plastic. The plastic here, made by Evergreen, this styrene is only 40 thousandths thick. So it's easy. It could be easy to crack if you do it with a conventional drill, unless you start off with a very small conventional drill and then get gradually larger and larger and larger. And I've done that, and that works. So after you've done that, I took some very fine sandpaper, 320 grit, and I lightly sanded the surface of the styrene. The reason is it comes polished, it's very glossy, and if you put paint on it, it's just going to sit there. It's going to take a while to dry, and it's going to kind of look blotchy. So what I did was I lightly sanded it with 300 grit or higher sandpaper, very, very fine sandpaper. And the first coat I'm going to use is black, and you can either spray it on or use acrylic brush on. I found it's very difficult to find spray acrylic paint. If you can find that, that's great. I found it very, very scarce. So you can either brush on acrylic or you can spray on enamel. For the base coat, it doesn't matter too much. So I'm going to do that right now, and then after it dries, we'll come back and I'll show you what I have. Okay, here's the styrene after I painted it. I painted it flat black, and it came out pretty good. I happen to spray paint this with some enamel, flat black enamel. I think it was Rust-Oleum, but anything should work, any kind of brand. So the next step is we're going to use these colors. This is the black I used most of these paints, by the way, I got from Walmart for 54 cents. They're like 50 cents a bottle. So we use the black. Next we're going to use dark gray. This is called Gray Storm. Then we're going to use a light gray, and that's called Rain Gray. Then we're going to use white, which is just white. And then we're going to use khaki. And we're going to mix them all together. So before we get started, you need to have a sponge. We're going to sponge this. The problem is that I found is some of these sponges that you buy commercially or in retail stores, they're in packages. As soon as you take the package off, a day later they turn into something as hard as a rock. Here's an example here. This sponge was nice and soft when I bought it, and now it's hard as a rock. So you got to get the sponges that you're sure when you take the packaging off are not going to harden up on you. You need a soft sponge, and then you cut it into bits. Okay. So now I'm going to start to put these other colors on here, and we'll see how it comes out. Okay, here we go. These are the 4 colors that I talked about that are right here. I tape this down to kind of mask the building foundations and also to use less paint. You can really paint those too. I wanted to keep these kind of black, the foundations black. So I'm just going to do the sidewalk here. I take a chunk of sponge, and I don't care about getting my fingers dirty here because this is acrylic. And I just do a dry sponge. So I try to get this dry. This is the dark gray, something like that. This end piece here is going to get cut off because there's going to be a gas station there I happen to know about. Okay, and then I'm going to leave that sponge there, and I'm going to take another sponge and do the light gray. Again, mostly dry. Could have dried that off a little bit more maybe. And we'll leave that sponge right there in order. The next one is white. Take the white. And you can get this darker or lighter depending on how hard you push the sponge down. And what I try to do is I put each color in a different place where I didn't put the other color. Okay, and now I'm going to do the khaki. Khaki. I'm going to use a very little amount of that. Okay. So I've got some black showing through. I got some dark gray showing through. And all the colors are there. And now what I'm going to do is take a dry sponge and kind of mute it by just doing this. And this is just by eye. I mean, there's nothing magical about this. And I'm going to put a little bit more light gray here. And maybe a little more white. Looks like it's getting kind of dark. And you go back and forth until it gets to the color of what you imagine concrete sidewalk would look like. Okay, I think that's pretty close. I think I'm pretty satisfied with that. So there's one last step that I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you that in a minute as soon as I get the tool I need. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do before I seal it is I'm going to take a mechanical pencil like this with a very fine point. I think it's 2 millimeter or 1 millimeter. Anyway, it says number 7. I don't know what that means. Or maybe that's the hardness of the lead. And then I'm going to trace, it's very easy, I'm going to trace the lines that are already in the styrene to bring out the expansion joints. And since I'm a righty, I'm going to use my right hand. And that'll bring it out. I'll bring out the highlights of the joints. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, here's what it came out to look like. I hope you can see that. I think it came out pretty well. The last thing I would do is to maybe spray it with a clear matte finish to hold the colors in, and everything stabilizes. Just seal it a little bit. I think it came out pretty realistic. You can put in dings in the concrete by extra black spots or the expansion lines and stuff like that. You could also put a curbing into it. I didn't choose to do that because this is 40 thousandths thick. That in N scale, that's a 6-inch high curb. If I wanted to put a 4-inch, 6-inch high curb off the street, if you were to put in a curbing along the edge here, that would be probably 20 thousandths, and I just don't. I don't know if I would even see that. I don't know if I could do it, and if I did do it, I don't know if I could even see it, a 20 thousandths in line. But all you'd have to do is try to do a ruler there and then cut a groove in it straight to make it look like a curbing from the top side. The side is okay. So that's it. If you like this video, please subscribe and please hit like. If you got any comments, any suggestions, let me know. Again, to recap, the material I'm using is evergreen scale models. This is what it looks like. It's called Sidewalk 4516 model number or part number, 1/4-inch squares, 0.04, 40 thousandths thick, polystyrene sheet. It comes in sheets 12 inches by 6 inches. You can get it on Amazon. And I think it also comes in 24-inch long by 6-inch pieces as well. So it's pretty available. I got this at my local hobby store. And like I said, it comes in a whole different size. It has a scale conversion chart on the back if you want to figure that out. If you can't figure that out, it's right here. Okay, once again, thanks for watching, and please subscribe and hit like. Thank you.